Hey man, how are you doing?
I was just, you almost caught me blowing my nose. I was really close there. I was
You were
really,
racing the clock.
yeah, I was racing the clock. That's right. Oh my word. How is everybody out there? I hope everybody is doing well. It's a lot of fun here. I see Chuck's already giving us a thumbs up. Thank you, Chuck. Appreciate
Yes,
that,
sir.
man. Really appreciate everybody coming back week over week. We're going to have some fun. You know what we're talking about today, Carter? Your
Yes,
favorite
sir. Talking about spending money to buy ads.
buy ads, paid advertising. So, why in the world would paid advertising be a topic for you and I since we don't do it?
You mean we don't personally? Our company doesn't use paid
Well,
advertising? Is
yeah,
that?
we do. We use it. You and I personally don't do it.
Oh, we don't do the service.
We
We
don't
have
do the
people that do
service.
that.
Yeah, but we have to know enough about it to talk kind of intelligently. So
Oh, sure,
we're gonna
absolutely.
try to do that today. Hey Terry, thank you very much. Terry Pollock is here as well. I really appreciate that. Um, so let me say something about paid advertising because it's really changed. I mean,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
was at the back end of Google AdWords the other day and was like, "What is this?"
oh yeah,
I haven't
yeah,
been in a while, but like it's
oh
totally
yeah, and we've
different.
got people that have done their ads for years that are calling us going, can you take this over? Because I don't know what this is anymore.
Yeah.
So, that's one of the things that we're going to talk about a little bit. There's still some very good things that you need to know about paid advertising. So, before we get started, here's one of the things I want to explain. With AI, they're trying to get AI to do everything. And there's so many complaints in the forums about what's going on. So the first thing that I'm going to say is, and this could very well get fixed down the road. So I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus, but I'm saying right now, do not let the machines do everything. You will
Yeah.
be spending a lot of money. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get that out of the way right now. Don't let the machines do it all because you'll spend a lot of money. So, but there's several different types of paid advertising. So we're going to jump into that first. Okay. So there's search, there's display, and then what I call roadkill.
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 Okay. Well, let's hear these definitions.
So search is when you're actually going out and searching for something specific online. Uh, Google, Bing, Yahoo, all those guys, when you go in any of those places, you'll see the ads that are there. But you're searching for something specific. You
Right.
need shoes, you're searching for shoes. You need a service, you're searching for a service. But you're actually out there doing something actively looking for the thing. Okay? That's a search ad. A display ad is, you know what? I need to check the weather. So I go over and I check the weather, and there happens to be ads on the website. So another big example of that, if you go into any publication, they've got display ads all over the place. If you go, I don't, it doesn't matter what, CNN news organizations are really uh, filled with display ads. Okay. And you can target your display ads. So that's really cool as well. And then there's roadkill ads. And these are ads that I look at. YouTube is a roadkill ad, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. So why do I call it? Because you're driving down the road and everything is really good, and all of a sudden you got to swerve because there's something in the road that gets your attention. Yeah, that's why I call it
Absolutely.
that. Yeah. So you're scrolling like crazy on all these platforms, and then all of a sudden there's something that comes up that grabs your attention or that you're interested in, or it's a puppy and you have to stop and look at the puppy or a baby, or you know what I'm saying? And it grabs you in. But you have to you're doing something, but you really weren't looking for it. It wasn't expected. It just pops up.
It's an interruption to what you were doing, but suddenly you realize, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah, it's roadkill. So I look at it. So, so those are just the types of advertising. Now that is basically online. Now there are other things that you're going to see. I mean, you see the same kinds of advertising on Netflix. You see them on streaming services. They're on TV. I mean, let's face it, that's what advertising is. I mean, they're trying to get your attention, right? So these are all the things that happen that you just got to pay attention to and know you can put ads in a lot of different places. Yeah.
Yeah. And, depending on your strategy, depending on, what it is that you are trying to sell, you have to make a choice about which one of those places is the most effective for you to reach your audience. And there's a whole lot of factors that go into that. I mean, we can talk about, stories of like, for instance, we launched a product years ago called Closing Commander that was an open estimate follow-up program. Well, it was brand new in its category. There was no other, there wasn't a category of people looking for open estimate follow-up software. So to run search ads in Google wouldn't have made sense at all because nobody was looking for that. Nobody was Googling that phrase. And so there was nowhere to really take advantage of that. So, we were able to rule that out as a place to try to advertise just to start out. So depending on your service, depending on your product, depending on whether or not it's a well-known commodity and people have a desire for it, is going to dictate, and whether they congregate in places, that's another one.
Yeah.
If they congregate on certain websites or in certain social media groups or platforms, then they're targetable. And
Right.
that targetability is what you really need in order to decide which type of paid advertising is right.
And sometimes it's combined. If you go to Amazon, you're normally doing a search on Amazon. But when you search, have you ever noticed when you click on one, it says people who bought this also bought this other stuff?
Yep.
So that's a search. That's a search. You're searching for a product, you find it, and then there's roadkill at the bottom.
Yeah.
Or it could be display. It just kind of depends. They could be, you could kind of look at them as either way, depending on how they come up. So I've seen them come up on different ways. Sometimes they'll come up at the bottom. That's kind of the traditional way. But every once in a while, you'll get a pop-up that'll say, hey, buy this on Amazon. And it's like, whoa, okay. So they do a little bit of everything. Anyway, you like my roadkill, don't you?
Well, I just, you definitely grew up in Texas.
I did. That's true. Hey, James, nice to see you, Miss Sir.
Hey,
Glenn's here and Jessica's here as well. So we're going to talk about targeting and personalization. We covered this in email. So it's kind of the same thing in ads. There are ways that you can actually go in and target an audience, and you can personalize your ads these days a little bit more. Now, it's not, I don't think it's perfected yet at all, but it's doable. So that's the main thing that you need to know there. Man, we have two Jameses on here, and Mr. Hunkle's on here. So glad to see you guys. James Mark's on here. That's fantastic. Love that you're all here. Here's the thing about targeting ads. There are different ways to do it depending on the platform that you're on. You can target audiences, you can target neighborhoods, you can target zip codes. I mean, there's all different kinds of ways that you can do that. Now, the personalization normally comes on the backside of the ad so that you can take them into somewhere where they're actually going exactly where you want them to go. So, I know everybody has been somewhere where they've clicked on something that they're interested to and ended up on a page that talks nothing about what you just clicked on. I mean, that drives me nuts. So that is the worst part of targeting and personalization because they did not do their job. But that's what I'm talking about. Those are those kind of things. You want to add anything with that?
Just that I'll mention that I just read or proofread an article that you're submitting to NCSG for the Sweeping Magazine, and you talk a little bit about AI and the advancements in AI to help with personalization and targeting and those things. So this is one of those areas, targeting and personalization, that I think is going to be a really interesting area to watch with artificial intelligence getting in and making ads smarter, using the data that we know about customers, about our own customers, about other people online who are looking for products similar to ours, to be able to target them and personalize it in a way that is, I mean, at a level that we've never been able to see before. And I mean, it's a little scary, but it's the I mean, for a marketer, the promise of being able to communicate with just the no marketer wants to bother people with a message that they aren't receptive to. I mean,
Yeah.
trust me, no marketer wants to flood the market with a bunch of stupid ads that make people angry. Marketers want to reach the people that their ads are intended for. That they want to put it in front of people that have a real interest in the product that they're offering. And there are always people like that, but finding them is really hard for marketers to do. So tools like AI that could help us target just those people that need to see our ads and leave everybody else the hell alone. That's a like a holy grail kind of a thing, and I'm really excited about that future possibility.
Well, and the other thing that I think people don't realize, as a small business, you're not going to be able to target as a small business like a Google and a Facebook can. I mean, it's really, really difficult. I think I forwarded you an email about somebody I follow about Facebook. I don't know if you've read it yet. It's been a couple of days ago. But Facebook has as many as 7,000 data points on people. The average is like 2,300 and something. I mean, when you think about the data, and this is all data that we have freely given them. All the questions they ask in upfront, all, where do you live? What's your deal? You married? Who you married to? When's your birthday? I mean, all that stuff. They have the massive amount of data. So, as first party data is great. They've got it. We don't. So, you have to use your data the way that you can, but don't be frustrated if you can't do what the big guys do, because they've been collecting this stuff forever.
Yeah.
Ever and ever and ever.
Tom's asking a question real quick. Are we talking geofencing? Is that still a viable option?
Yeah, I mean, you can geofence ads. Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things you can do. I know that a lot of people have tried it, and it's kind of, it doesn't, I don't think it works in a lot of ways. I think it works better for retail, honestly, as opposed to service. It freaks people out a little bit when you geofence around a service area. To me, I think doing postcards in those areas works a little bit better, because people aren't kind of jerked out of them and say, why am I getting this, now? And they're like, how did you get, people get freaked out. I mean, it's the same thing when people think that Facebook's listening to you. The reality is Facebook's not listening to you at all. They just have all those data points. They know where you are and they know what you're doing there. I mean, that's the freaky thing about it. So hopefully that helps, Tom. I don't know if we don't do a lot of geofencing, because I don't work a lot with retail right now. I mean, we do have some, but not a whole lot.
He's got another question. Tom's got some good questions today. I recently looked into a service I like called, or a service like AdCritter, that is a billboard or digital billboards, desktops and TVs. Is this the new trend for marketing? Yeah, this is. I'll answer this because I'm familiar with AdCritter a little bit, but yeah, this is a clearinghouse for really niche kinds of ad opportunities. So not necessarily the ones that come through the big places like Google Ads and things like that, or the display ad programs. But it is a great place to find opportunities, and but they're not always suited for the real niche types of businesses. So Offhand, I don't know whether or not it would be appropriate for a chimney service business or not, but it could be. And as far as whether it's the future or the trend, it's good to see companies like this that are working to sort of aggregate those smaller hidden opportunities that are more difficult to find, and to address really niche kind of markets for advertisers that have really niche products and services. And I do expect that we'll probably start to see more and more of those, especially as personalization gets more granular, more narrowed down to very specific interests and people who share those interests. The need to be able to segment deeper and deeper really becomes a valuable tool for marketers to save money and only target those people that they know they are interested in targeting. So yeah, I think it's an interesting play. I've got my ears tuned to it because I'm always looking to see what opportunities there are like that.
So here's my take on this, Tom. I think anything that you can do that's local and that's hyper local, that is branding for your business, is good. Period. I think that we have gotten away from, we've relied so much on online and the internet that we have forgotten how to be a community. We have forgotten how to support our community, and we've forgotten how to go out and actually intermingle with the people that we need to intermingle with and let them know who we are and what we do. I think that's one of the big things that I see with local companies, that they're really missing the boat. The guys that have really grown have not forgotten how to do that. And that's one of the missing pieces, I think, that small businesses just all across the nation, it's easy for us to hide and let the internet do everything. And the internet's great. I'm not saying it shouldn't be utilized, but the best search you can have is a search for your name, period. They searching for your brand, you don't have any competition. So make sure that people know who you are and they know your brand. I mean, that right there is gold. I mean, to me, that's the biggest nugget, you can have. If I was a local business, I would be everywhere locally. I would want everybody to know my name locally. So budgeting and cost models. All right. This is, again, it's kind of hard because we're really broad here. What I'm going to say is everybody has a little bit different way of budgeting. Sometimes it's, click-throughs, sometimes it's impressions. You just have to pay attention to how you want to budget and if it makes sense. Some are daily, some are monthly. I mean, it's all across the board. I mean, you could do $5 a day. You can do $500 a month. You can spend money during the day and then turn them off at night. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do now. So it's just knowing what your budget is, which I find a lot of people don't know. So that's number one. And knowing how much you're able to spend and actually following up and making sure that that the money is being spent on stuff that you're getting business with. And understand this. There's a lot of marketing companies that want to tell you that a click-through rate is conversions. Well, to marketers, that's what we want. We want the click-throughs. That's a conversion for us, but it's not a conversion for you. If we just get people to click and you're not getting business, it's not the right clicks. So, if you're in a situation where you're dealing and working with somebody else, you need to make sure that you communicate very stringently if it's working or not. So,
yeah, that's good. Real quickly, the three types of cost models are cost per click, which you just described, cost per impression, sometimes also, or CPM, where you're basically paying per 1,000 views. It goes way back to direct mail impressions and things like that. That's a very old way of doing it, but it's still a valid way of doing it. Mm-hmm. And then cost per action is based on, you define a specific action. Usually that's tied to an actual sale or a sign up or a scheduled appointment or something like that, where you can, if you can tie the click directly to the action, then you're paying usually a much higher price for that action, because that action is the desired result. I mean, that's the thing that's going to actually get you paid, by a new customer. So,
and that's the one that most of these platforms don't have.
Well, it's true, because it's a little bit difficult to be able to track it back and verify. I mean, that's the other thing, is that transparency, that visibility, to be able to know, did they really get an appointment, or did they really make a sale? And if so, then I need to be able to track that, so I can charge this person, a percentage of that as a finder's fee or as a royalty or whatever. So
Right.
It's difficult to track all of that, but if it can be done, it's a very worthwhile way of doing it.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Absolutely. Creating effective ads. Boy, we can go down a rabbit hole here. This is nuts. Depends on the ad. I mean, you got video ads, you've got static graphic ads, you've got text ads, you've got, radio ads. I'm coaching a plumber right now, and I'm writing his radio ads, just because he just doesn't quite know how to do it. And so, I get them started, and they go to the radio station, and they tweak them a little bit and get them to 30 seconds, and here we go. So it's a totally different deal when you're speaking it as opposed to reading it, as opposed to seeing it. So, yeah.
If it's a display ad, then you can brand it, but the brand can't get in the way of the call to action, unless it's just purely a branding advertisement kind of a play. But I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into it. Effective ads, I'll say this, and I've said this probably 6 times today, I feel like. Marketing is nothing but one big grand experiment. It's an experiment from start to finish. Nobody knows what's really going to work until they've tried a few things and started to see a pattern of success. That's the only way that you know whether or not your marketing, is effective or not. So you got to try things. And sometimes you're going to try stuff that falls flat on its face, and you'll never do that again. And then you'll go try something else that'll work wildly in one place, but not so well in another place. So it's a constant trial and error, iterating through, trying different things in different places, measuring the results to make sure that it is accomplishing the goal that you have set for it. And, then what really effective means. But we could do an entire episode just on effective ad and content creation. In fact, I think we have.
I think we have at some point.
Yeah.
And you know what? And let's talk about measuring success, because I saw Amy Porterfield, who is a big time person in the coaching field. I saw a speech or a talk that she gave just recently. And one of the things she said is 15 years in business, she finally had something that went viral, and she showed it. It was like her showing her husband without a beard and her husband with a beard, and how wonderful he looked with a beard, and how excited she was that he did a beard. And it was like got 50 million or some odd ridiculous views. And so her husband is not somebody who's ever online. And so he was really excited and said, well, how much money did we make? And she said, 0.
Who's saying?
0 money. And this is one of my big points. I get so tired of people talking about vanity metrics. Vanity metrics may get you known, but it does not make you money. It does not make you money. You can do the most whiz-bang whatever in the world. If it makes you money, great, but there is no guarantee that vanity metrics are going to make you a dime. And
most of the time they don't. And it's really hard to translate, like a big success like that, 50 million views on a post that has nothing to do with my business, and then translate or move those likes or that engagement over into, when I talk about what my business is about. It almost never translates over. It's just a one-time thing. virality is a cruel mistress, and chasing after it is almost worthless, because especially if you're using vanity kind of stuff,
So
and
you have to know the real thing to measure.
yeah, you really do.
Yeah, yeah, you have to know. I thought about your fish in a blender.
Yeah, right. That was my like story of how I caught a wave and got some real viral attention on YouTube years ago, but it did not translate into any real business at all. I mean,
Yeah,
at all. And we couldn't figure out how to transition that or how to make that bridge. So yeah, you can create viral content, but it's not going to make you any money.
that's why I laugh when people says, "Yeah, you got to get on TikTok. You got to dance. You got to do the thing."
Well,
Like, how does that translate to marketing? I'm just
no,
trying.
I mean, if you're trying to sell a product online, you're getting on TikTok and dancing, you're not going to make any money doing that. But if your goal is to make money by dancing on TikTok through
Sure,
advertisers and everything else, then you're a content creator, and your product is your content.
is
And
your
in that case, you can make some money, but man, that's a hard job too.
well, and that's the people that are cooking online and
Yeah.
doing the shop work and all that. People send them stuff, and yeah, they review it. No, I mean, I think there's like an 8-year-old kid that makes $5 million a year that just does nothing but review toys, and he's
Mm-hmm.
got this multi-million. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I wish I'd have thought about that. You know,
Me too.
I'd have done that. Anyway, the point to this is you have to know what you're measuring, and you have to make sure that you're measuring the right things. And the right things, if you have a business, the right things to measure are the things that bring you money. So make sure you have the right KPIs.
Very good.
Ethics and regulations. Okay, these are pretty. Every one of these platforms have rules. Okay, you need to stay in the rules. If you don't
Not only
stay in the rules, they kick you off.
not only the platforms, but the jurisdictions that you're in as well. If advertising in the U.S., there's a whole body of law that describes what you can and can't do under the Fair Trade
Mhm.
Practices Act. And so it's very important that you're clear on what you can and cannot say or do. And the relationships that you make with the advertisers who are advertising for you need to understand the rules that they have based on accepting money from you to advertise your product. So it's not difficult, but being aware of it is important. That's probably all we really have to say about that. And being
Yeah,
ethical.
yeah,
Don't be sleazy.
yeah. Don't be sleazy. Hey, and Mark, this has nothing to do with you, but I want to say welcome. No, I didn't want to. I just want to make sure that people didn't think I, associated you with what Carter just said, because I don't.
You were just
We're
reading
just
through
glad
the
you're here.
comments.
We're glad you made it. This I think is really, really important. And what's funny about this is probably 3 or 4 years ago, we wouldn't even have this up here because everything was so static and kind of going along. I mean, Google was kind of what Google was, and they would change some things, but it wasn't really. Boy, now no,
Oh, the good old
you
days.
gotta stay with it. You got to get with it because every time you turn around, it's something's going on. And I've had people say, "Well, you used to do ads. Why don't you do them anymore?" And it's like, because I haven't kept up with it. I don't have time to keep up with everything. So, if I have questions, I go to Tom. Tom's who I go to, and say, "Hey, what's happening here?" And he tells me. So, my point with this is things are changing at a breakneck speed. If you want to get involved with advertising, SEO, whatever you're doing, man, just make sure you're keeping up because you need to. If you don't want to keep up, that's fine. Keep tuning in. We'll try to keep you abreast of everything. But I'm just telling you, it's fast. It's crazy. I don't know about you, Carter, but there are times I think, oh, well, that's the neatest thing. And then I get up the next day and read something else and go, oh, wow, that's even better than that thing I read yesterday. I'm just like, oh, Lord. This is nuts.
Sometimes they conflict. I mean, the information you're getting is doesn't match up, and you're like, well, which one's the case? What's really going on? I guess only time will tell.
Yeah, and I think that's it. In time, we're going to see how it shakes out. I don't think anybody knows. That's what I have come to the conclusion is we're all on a journey, and we're going to find out together. How's that?
Yep.
How's that? So, see if there's any more comments here. Nope, I think we're good. Here we go. Spark Live is also released as a podcast on Spotify. I was going to go Spot iTunes. I just didn't do that very well today. Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Podvine, or your favorite player. And just because I want to be part of the conversation before we get into what goes on next week, I am really looking forward to hear more about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. Aren't you, Carter?
I can't wait.
I'm just throwing it in here. Maybe we'll get seen everywhere because that's what's trending. It seems to be everywhere I've gone today.
Yeah,
It made me laugh. Anyway, next week, we're going to talk about analytics and optimization in paid advertising. And we are going to have Mr. Tom Smotik here. So I'm excited about that. I don't know if we're going to be here. It may be Tom.
well, we may be driving at that time on Thursday. I'm not sure, but we're going to make it work.
We'll figure it out. So one way or the other, somebody will be here with Tom. We'll make it happen. It may be Corey and Tom. That might be a good one. So, but we'll keep you abreast. We're going to a summit, a mastermind summit next week, but we'll figure it out. Thanks, everybody. Hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.